Welcome to H2K Infosys. H2K Infosys is a e-verify business based in Atlanta, Georgia, United States. We provide 100% job-oriented, instructor-led, face-to-face, true live online software training programs. It also includes access to cloud test lab with software tools. We provide live project for you to work on. We also provide assistance with mock interviews, resume preparation and review, and job placement assistance. H2K Infosys is trusted by so many students across the world. H2K Infosys provides world-class services in IT training with real-time project work for corporates and individuals, special IT training for MS students in the United States, software design, development, QA manual and automation, performance testing and maintenance, IT staff augmentation, job placement assistance, and tech support.
Like day by day.
Neha, I have a question. Is the XML that we write, is that a web service call or something to?
No, we are just using Hibernate.
Okay.
We are providing the configuration to Hibernate in an XML file. We're not doing any stuff with web services right now.
Okay.
So folks, we have learned there are some disadvantages with JDBC. In which scenarios Hibernate could be far better than JDBC. At a high level, it's an ORM framework. It provides object relational mapping. So there's a kind of a mapping that we do to map the Java classes into database tables. So for every table in database, we write a corresponding Java class to map it. So we have an employee class here. I'm just reiterating the stuff what we discussed yesterday. So we have an employee class with ID, first name, last name, and salary. We want to map it with a table employee, which has the structure of this in the RDBMS. So the advantages with any ORM framework is it provides basic CRUD operations, like you want to save, insert, delete, select. You have specified API to do that without writing any SQL queries. So, and one more important advantage is that if you change the database, we just need to change the driver class and the information that we provide in the configuration file. It's basically the driver class,
Dialect.
the dialect. I'm sorry.
Yeah, dialect. We have to change.
Yes, we have to specify the dialect, driver class, and the URL specific to the underlying database. And there are few important interfaces in Hibernate. First is the configuration. So configuration object is the first object that we create, and it is created only once during the application initialization. And then we have the session factory object. Session factory object is created from the configuration object, and it does have all the configuration that we provide in the configuration file. And session factory is a thread-safe object. And from the session factory object, we create multiple sessions. And sessions are not thread-safe. And to maintain a transaction, we have a transaction object wherein we could begin the transaction and commit the transaction. And we have a query object to execute SQL or Hibernate query language against the database. Basically, Hibernate query language operates on the object and not on the tables. And then we have the criteria object if you want to specify some criteria. Criteria is basically I want to get the rows in the table whose first name is Venkat. I want to get students from the table whose last name is XYZ. Right? The criteria is what we'll specify. We could specify using the criteria object. So
Neha,
in Hibernate, yes.
so this query object, so it is the part of that XML or?
I mean, query object, we could mention it in an XML, a named query, or we could just create the query on the fly, providing a SQL as a string. We could do that.
Okay.
We'll do some examples, Venkat.
Okay, sure.
Or if I'll share some code to see those examples, and you could revert back to me with questions.
Yeah, that helps. Thank
Okay,
you.
after today's class, try the composite key as an assignment. If you're not able to do it, I'll discuss it on Monday's class.
Okay, sure. Yeah.
Because after we discuss the basic things, try to do things on your own. But you can always come to me and ask me to provide examples on it when you're not able to do. But it's advisable for you to try.
Yes, that's how we can explore.
Yes, exactly. Because if we do n number of things, there is the n+1 thing that we need to do at the real-time project, right? Yes. But when you're not able to do, you can just email me. I want an example with query. I want an example with composite. You could always email me. Maybe I may take a little time, but I'll respond in a day or two. So, folks, in a configuration file, okay. Instead of looking at this, let's see in the real-time code, whatever code that is running. So in a configuration file, as we see, we specify the dialect specific to the database. We specify the driver class. We specify the URL, username, password. And if you want to auto-commit the transaction, auto-commit the query, you can specify it. With all these things, and we include the HVM files that we are trying to use. All the mappings that we do in the HVM files, we include it in the configuration file. And there will be an XML file wherein we do the mappings. So what the mapping we are doing here, we are trying to map the employee class with the employee table. Folks, in the class, whatever we see name, this is the name of the class. Fully qualified name of the class. Means package name dot class name. We are trying to map it with the employee table. So the ID is the auto-generated one. So we use the generator and the class is native. And we map other columns with the specific properties in the class. So these names are like the variables in the Java class, and columns are the columns in the database. So if we see the columns in the database, it's ID, first_name. I just created it with underscore in the database to see the difference. If I do the first name same in the database column also, we don't understand the difference, right? So first_name is the column. That's why we specify in the column as first_name. But in the Java class, there is no underscore. It's just first name. So if you see in the employee class, right, it is the first name. So the name, we provide the Java variables or the properties, and in column we specify the column and we specify the type string int. So when we're done with the mapping,
may I have a question here? So the ID, that is the default key.
No. This is the variable in the employee class.
Oh, okay. That is also part of it. Okay.
ID. And this ID is a column. So if you see this here in the database, we have a column with same ID.
Yes.
So let's see, if you see the create query, right? You can see we specified auto increment, right?
Yes.
So that's it. Okay. And then we specify all the columns. This is like the ID. This name may not be an ID, but it is advisable. Usually the notation that we follow is an ID. It's like the primary key and the ID for each row.
The columns you have declared as in the property all the columns, right? But why do you declare ID as separate in an individual?
See, ID is like the primary key.
Okay, that's the reason. Okay.
Yes.
So where are we saying, Neha, here primary key? I mean, how do we are
the ID, and if you see, folks, and even if we say specific column is equal to unique, right? We say unique is equal to true. Unique is by default false. When in the database we have an unique constant, we add unique is equal to true here.
Okay, to the
yes.
class.
Yes, to any property, right? This specific column is unique, has an unique constraint, right?
What do you? Oh no, I didn't get that. When you say unique, what do you mean by that? Is
We
that
can add
foreign?
unique. No, we can add unique constraint to a column, right? I can say unique to a column, right? In a data.
Just like primary key, you can mention it as unique.
Unique constraint. We have a unique constraint in database.
Okay.
Right? So which means that particular column can take only unique values. Let's say if I name this first name as a unique column, right?
Mm-hmm.
If I have one value, let's say Venkat here, I cannot put one more row with the same value Venkat because this column I have mentioned it as unique. You understand?
Okay.
The values for the column are unique. And first, for doing anything with Hibernate, we get the session factory through the configuration, and then we create session from the session factory. And the first thing, like what we have seen is first the insert statement is what we have seen, right? For inserting, we have the method save. So folks, we have learned that we have methods or API to do the CRUD operations, right? So for insert, we have the method save. So when we say session.save, it automatically gets saved in the database. We don't need to write an insert query for it. So what are we doing? I created an employee object. And when I say session.save, it gets inserted into the database. So folks, currently I don't have, let me just do that. I don't have any data in the database. I don't have any data in this specific table, right? Now, first I'm trying to insert a row in the database using the Hibernate save method, right? The first name is Venkat and last name is KOTT, and I'm inserting some value to the salary. Right? When we run it, this particular employee object gets persisted into the database.
If you have multiple tables, then we have to create multiple mapping files, right?
In a mapping file, we can map multiple classes also, Venkat. So here I can say, and I can map one more class. Only related classes, usually we map in a same mapping file. If they are not related, we usually, in a real-time scenario, create multiple mapping files. But if we think that they are related, we can have two class mappings in a same Hibernate mapping file. Here I can say, class and write one more class over here.
Okay. Yes. You can start from class name to then rest of the thing.
Yes, actually, yeah. Like we can have, one more class, and if you're closing it, and then here you want to say, specific ID and a class, we have to specify the name. Whatever we are mentioning here, we have to replicate the same thing for the second class also.
Like just copy paste and we modify it, whatever.
That's what we all do.
So multiple operations into multiple tables. The only thing that we have to change is the configuration file. That's it.
HVM file. We have to provide mapping basically.
Yeah.
Right? When we have
make the change in the configuration file and
the HVM file. HVM XML file, which we call it as a mapping file. So when we say configuration file, right? We usually mean this is the configuration file. The Hibernate config.xml is called as the configuration file, and the HVM files we call them as the mapping files.
Okay.
And, in the configuration file, can we provide more than one mapping file in that case?
Yes, exactly. It's not we can provide, we have to provide it. Yes, whatever the mapping file.
Our requirement is always to access multiple tables, right?
Yes, exactly. There will be so many mappings in the real time. Whatever all the mappings that we do, we have to put it. It's not that we can put it. We have to put it.
Yes.
Inside the Hibernate config.xml file. So folks, you're clear on this, right? There is session factory. We open a session, And folks, I'm just repeating, we insert this employee object into the database, or we persist this employee object through session object. That's it. So, in any doubts in this, like say this code, when we discuss it, some level of understanding, and when we see the code, that's when we get a clear picture actually.
This looks better than JDBC. This looks.
Of course.
Oh, yeah.
Of course it is.
Just by the feel, we can feel that.
Yes. See, just in the initial class, you feel what is the session factory and all. Once you understand the session factory and session, it's like you just say session.save. If you want to, insert multiple things, you have to set different values, or you have to provide a static people for inserting, right? So if you want to insert one more record, I just create one more employee object. Let's say, let me change this value here. I have already inserted. So, I have inserted this, and I'm just saying that, and one more employee. So, if say session.save, if you want to insert both the employee objects, right? I just save those two objects. So we'll go and see the data again. You see all the records. You understand, folks?
Neha, I have a question. So when right now we are hard coding it, right? The values there. So let's say the values can also come from the screen, right?
Yes.
So when it comes that way, then how are we going to
whatever the data that is entered in the screen, finally we get it as a Java object. We bind it with a Java bean. So finally, even the data that's entered in the screen, we bind it to a Java object.
You're going to give an example for that?
We're going to discuss it when we go to JSP, when we are doing the web pages, we discuss it.
Okay, thank you.
So you're clear on this, right? And of course, it's way better than we don't have the queries that are built into the business logic. The business logic is to say, we just say save. There is no sequence that's interfering, or it's very clean. The SQL or the configurations are completely isolated. There's no code of loading the driver or getting the connection, doing all that. All we just get is the session. And folks, as an assignment, I want you people to try the update. We have a method update on the session. As an assignment, I want you people to try an update example. Okay?
Neha, we are hard coding the values because we don't have a UI. That is the reason, or is it completely different thing when we?
See, usually the objects that we are putting, for example, if you are doing any web services, it is the input from it. If you are using any web UI, these values come for the screen, comes from the screen.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah, that's all.
I have seen an example that the config.xml has where you are mapping, that file is .java file. Is that a regular Java class? Is that a possible? Can we do that?
Does the mapping in the Java file with annotations? We don't do configuration in a Java file, to my knowledge. So we do the mapping
through
with
annotation.
Yes, the mapping we do through annotation.
Okay. Through annotation, you use Java file, or?
See, what is annotation is basically we specify in the Java file itself. Let's say I'm going to annotate this class with something. This is what we call it as an annotation. So annotation, instead of providing an HTML file, we do the mappings in the form of annotations.
Then we call this file there in config.xml.
We don't need to.
Employee.java.
We don't need to call. We just keep it as a resource basically.
Because I think I remember seeing an example that says, you have add entity and
That's
then
yes, exactly. That is what I'm saying. Instead of providing the HTML file, it's not a replacement for configuration file.
No. I'm not saying it's the replacement.
Yes.
No.
It is the replacement for mapping file.
Right,
No,
right.
I'm explaining you that those annotations, what do you say, entity, those annotations, they are replacement for the mapping file.
Right.
We're going to see annotations in a while, Lydia.
Oh, okay. Here you are directly entering the fields there in the config file, right? Instead of mapping it to a class. Is that a
instead of
statement?
mapping in the class?
Yeah, in the class. Okay, whatever.
Okay, no. I'm just correcting because I want to make sure that you are understanding it correctly, Lydia. It is not that I'm trying, because we make the annotations in the class. So I'm just pressing on it so that your understanding will be correct, to make sure that you are understanding it correctly.
Yeah. I know I may not be using the right words, but
yes, exactly. That's what I'm trying to tell you. It is the replacement for this mapping file. So instead of providing a mapping file, we do the annotations in the class itself. We'll see in the second PDF.
Okay.
Why we are having here like all these things, public get ID, public void set ID?
See, usually the encapsulation purpose is we don't provide access to the state directly. So if you don't want to access them directly, we make them as private. And we provide public getters and setters to access them. So what are the variables that are using? We make them as private and we have public getters and setters to access them. So when we declare variables, we can generate them by going to source, generate getters and setters. So there are already getters and setters for all the variables here. That's why it's saying this. Else it's gives me a pop-up wherein I can select the variables for which I can generate the getters and setters. Any entity class, we make the variables as private as we already discussed in the PDF in yesterday, and we have public and getters and setters to access them. Okay, Venkat, what is encapsulation?
So basically, we are not exposing the what exactly we are doing inside.
No, we don't try to exactly, we try to hide the state of the object from being directly accessed, right? That's what we're trying to put it here. And so, usually, see, we're seeing, right, from the session, we can create a query. I'm just saying from employee. It fetches the data from the employee and I have the dot list method to get all the employees. So it's just, I don't need to write it. Here I get the employee list and then I'm just iterating and printing it. You see here? The records that are present in the database, we are able to print them here. This is an example for the select. And we have a delete method to delete it. Criteria we're going to discuss it, but don't worry about it. I have an employee object, and if I want to delete it, I use the delete. So a specific thing whose name is Venkat, I got that object, and I say session.delete. So that specific object gets deleted from the database. Updates, I want you people to do it as your assignment.
Can you show the retrieve file get employee.java one time? Okay, so list, employees list is the...
Yes, see, we have discussed when we are discussing collections.
the
when
list.
we have
Yeah,
more than one
collections.
object, we're going to put it in any collection, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So the sort list actually returns a list. So I'm trying to put it in a list. So these are, it returns the records that are present in the database. So folks, when we are using JDBC, we don't get it as a list of objects directly. We don't get it. We get only the result set. We have to iterate the result set, get value of each and every column, create an employee object, and then set the values to the employee object. That's how we have to do when we're using JDBC. We don't get Java objects directly when we do a query, right? What we get is the result set, remember?
Neha, this is just a side question. Like the only alternative, the only update for JDBC is Hibernate in the market, or is there?
No, we have IBATs also. You can use JPA also. It's not. Hibernate is not the only thing. Hibernate is one of the popular things. We have IBATs.
Okay.
Hibernate is also widely used, but it's not as popular as Hibernate.
Okay.
So we have deleted that, and that got deleted from the data, right? We have the delete method to do a update. Please try it as an assignment. Please do practice, folks. I'll send this project after the class. So folks, any doubts in like?
Can you explain the syntax for that list? What exactly that is doing? Where is the employee declared? Where is it?
Here we are getting directly as a list of employees.
Yeah.
The data in the database, we directly getting it as a list of employees.
Oh, so that's the table name. Oh, is that the database name or the table name? Employee.
Employee is the class name. See, in Java, whatever we use is a class. We cannot use table names in Java, right?
Okay. Yeah, that's what I thought.
No. I'm just like answering you. Don't think I'm questioning you.
That's what I thought, but when you said the table, then I was like, oh.
No,
okay.
This is a Java class. We cannot use the table in a Java code, right? We cannot use table in a Java code. This is a Java class. Employee is the Java class. This is the class which we are referring to.
And then we have, okay.
So we're just having a list of employees.
I got it.
Okay, so Neha, in this we are selecting data from the database, right?
Yes.
So if we want to select a particular data, so how we can do through Hibernate?
What do you mean by particular data?
If we give any condition like where the
yes, we have criteria. Yes, we have criteria to do that.
Okay.
We haven't yet discussed that.
Okay, so we are going to discuss that. Okay.
Yes.
Sure.
Yes.
Okay, no problem.
So we have seen the dialects and we have discussed all these things. Yeah. Folks, stop me. I'm just reiterating these things, because we just, for the first time, we just tend to forget. So see folks, we have the update method to do it. So please try doing an update because we have seen the select, insert and delete. So
Did you send those jar files that you said you were going to send?
No, I didn't send anything. The jar files are present as part of the project itself. I kept the jar files here in the lib folder. When you send this project, you get everything inside. I have physically kept this
okay.
jar files here. Yesterday we did only one example, first example. Right? I'll send you with the rest of the examples. I'll send you after the class. Right after the class, I'll email you both.
Okay, thank you.
Neha, to copy this project, what should we do? Can you just show me, because I couldn't copy it and I had to manually copy the code for each and every program.
No, after you unzip it, you go to your workspace. The computer, my workspace is like the user. This is my workspace, right?
Yes.
Paste the project here. Sorry, paste the folder here. When you unzip it, you get a folder, right?
Yes.
So don't have like Hibernate inside Hibernate, but in the folder you should directly have these things. Make sure that you have all these things directly. Not sometimes when you extract, some people get Hibernate, right? So like inside the folder you should directly have bin and all these things. Okay? So paste it here and then come here and create a Java project with the same name as that of the folder.
Oh, okay. Yeah, this one I missed. Yeah. Okay, thanks, Neha.
Okay, so we have seen like the CRUD operations with Hibernate, right? Doing the basic CRUD operations. Of course, you're going to try update as your assignment. And folks, usually we have in a real-time scenario, right? We have some kind of a mapping. Like a department has many employees. Right? A library has many books, and a customer places many orders, right? So for that we have certain kind of mapping that is provided as part of Hibernate. So when we have when we want to store many, what do we use for? We use any collection, right? So there is certain kind of mapping that's provided as part of Hibernate. When we are using set or a sorted set, we use set element. When we are using any list, we use the list. If you're trying to put a collection, right, we have the collection interface. If you're trying to put that reference, we use a bag or ibag element. And for map, we use the map element. So for the collection classes, we have the corresponding mapping that is provided.
So many of our students have given testimonials on how our training programs are. You will find them on kudzu.com and on our website h2kinfosys.com. On our website h2kinfosys.com, you will also find more detailed information on who we are, the courses that we offer, what each course covers. Also, if you're interested in a demo program, please register on our homepage on the left-hand side. Just give us more information about yourself and we will send you a link for a demo class. The demo class is absolutely free. Experience our commitment by just attending an orientation workshop at no cost. Our team of faculty and advisors are here to guide you with the right information. If you still have more questions, please feel free to call us. Call us at 770-777-1269. This is a United States number. If you're calling from the UK, call us at 020-337-17615. You can also email us at training@h2kinfosys.com or h2kinfosys@gmail.com. Thank you for watching our videos. We wish you a great career in information technology.